Participants, I'm just going to do a quick video just about reading commentaries and perhaps a bit about taking notes. But as a general comment, there's some danger in reading commentaries just because it can get you a bit confused and scattered. The problem is, you can think of it as when you read a commentary, you get 100 bits of new information. Probably, you're going to use like maybe 5 or 10 of those max when you get to the sermon. And so it can kind of clutter your brain and you have too many ideas and you don't know how to sort them. So basically what I'm trying to do when I'm reading commentaries is I'm trying to make sure that my priority is getting the main idea of the text right. There's so many interesting facts that you can gather, but the whole point is to make sure that you're on target with the main point of what the author's trying to do. And then secondly, I'm trying to filter. So there are some useful things that you want to cite as sort of evidence for what the main point is. They can feature in other parts of your sermon too, but especially in the exposition, just describing, hey, how did I get here? Why do I think this is what the author's doing? But you're going to need to filter those very rigidly. And so commentaries are good because they'll get you background information that you don't have, but you've got to be really, really ruthless in deciding what you're going to include and what you're not. So what I do is I just read with a highlighter, and I have some color coding for my highlighting, but then afterward I summarize what I've gathered from it. So I use preview. Yellow is just general highlighting. Green is important points I want to remember. And so this sort of focuses me even among my highlights. Blue is for key terms or lists. Pink is for areas where I think I disagree. And purple is places where I have lingering questions. So epic repetition is a technical term, it looks like. And so I highlighted that as something that I want to remember. I think basically what we're referring to is, because it's an oral tradition, the practice of repeating key phrases in the narrative, like the evening and the morning. And so that repetition helps an oral culture to remember and repeat, because a lot of these sources in Genesis that Moses is putting together are going to be oral sources. Maybe they were eventually written down, but they're things that have been repeat and retold for generations. So what I'm highlighting here, as I said, the yellow is kind of general highlights, but the green are important things. So in this case, for instance, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. This is a direct restatement of the Genesis 1. So the parallels with Genesis 1 are really important in this Noahic story. You'll see here that he calls attention to other associations too. So there's these parallels with Genesis 12 in the calling out of Noah in the first section here. There's parallels with Sinai in Exodus 23 and 24 and in the second section. And so you'll see again, I'm just highlighting, hey, where does it say the important thing about this list, so I can just jump down and take quick notes later. And then towards the end, there's this nakedness in Noah and similarities to the Genesis 3 temptation narrative and the impact of nakedness, how you respond to sin, but also a link, and this is where I have further questions about what's the link between Ham, the third son of Noah, and the Canaanites, so the youngest son. And remember, this is Moses writing before they come into the land of Canaan, and they're to drive out or destroy the inhabitants of that country. And so he gets into a little bit about maybe some of the cultic nakedness practices that they were practicing, and maybe this gives some background for that. So again, I'm highlighting that I'm taking notes down to make it easier to sort of capture, easier to see. It's just cleaner. And then I will actually just close this and not come back to that, and I'll just work off of this. And so this takes my 100 bits of information down to 30, and then I can take this 30 maybe to 5 or 10 when I go in manuscript to teach. So hopefully that's helpful.